All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping into one of the foundational stories of deliverance. I'm talking about the Passover from the book of Exodus. It's an event packed with symbols that have echoed through thousands of years, and it all kicks off on one single, absolutely critical night.
So it all comes down to this one night. It was the night that would change everything. I mean, talk about setting the stage, right? This one night was filled with terror, yeah, but also triumph, and it would go on to shape the identity of an entire people. So what exactly happened on this night?
Okay, so let's set the scene. You have the Israelites, and they're in Egypt, but not by choice. They've been enslaved for generations. Just think about that. But there's this promise, a promise of freedom, and it's about to come true in a way that is, well, dramatic and totally unforgettable.
And this is where the name of the event, Passover, comes from. It's pretty direct, right? The Lord would pass over his people, bringing them out of Egypt. It was this idea of a selective deliverance. God would literally skip over the homes of the Israelites, protecting them from the judgment that was coming.
So now we get to the how. How are they going to survive? Because this protection, it wasn't automatic. To make it through this final, absolutely devastating plague, they had to follow a very, very specific set of instructions. And let me tell you, this was so much more than just a ritual. This was a life or death situation that came down to faith and action.
And when I say specific, I mean incredibly precise. First, they had to select a perfect lamb, no blemishes. Then, that lamb had to be slain. Its blood was then applied to the door frame of the house. Now this blood, and this is the absolute key to the whole thing, that blood was the sign of protection. And finally, the family had to roast and eat the lamb together.
And get this, they couldn't even eat it casually. The instructions said to eat it fully dressed, with their shoes on, staff in hand, ready to go. You can just feel the urgency in that, can't you? This was no relaxed family dinner. This was a meal you eat when you're on the brink of a life-changing journey. They were literally eating on the verge of freedom.
So all this preparation, it's all building up to the story's climax. Midnight falls across the land of Egypt, and everything, the lamb, the blood, the instructions, it all comes down to this one single, terrifying moment.
And it really did all come down to one simple, direct promise from God. When I see the blood, I will pass over you. That's it. The blood on the doorpost was the only sign that mattered. It wasn't about who was inside or how good they were. It was just about the blood. That was the guarantee. That was what kept the angel of death away.
And the result? Well, it was as black and white as you can get. In the homes with blood on the door, there was deliverance. The firstborn were spared. But in the homes without the blood, there was judgment. The source describes this great cry that went up throughout all of Egypt, because in every one of those houses, the firstborn was lost.
This one night, a night of tragedy for some and salvation for others. This was the breaking point. It was the catalyst that just shattered Pharaoh's resistance. And just like that, it triggered the immediate freedom of an entire people. The Exodus, the great departure, it had finally begun. And what a stunning reversal it was. You have Pharaoh, the same guy who kept saying, "No, you can't go." Now he's the one practically begging them to leave. "Rise up and get you forth from among my people and go." He's not just allowing it, he's demanding it. And just try to picture the scale of this. The source says 600,000 men left on foot. And that's not counting women and children. So you're talking about a population of probably over 2 million people. A whole nation, just up and leaving everything they've ever known all at once, stepping out into the desert.
Okay, so that's the historical event, but the story doesn't end there. The source material then pivots, right? It starts to unpack the deeper meaning of all this specifically from a Christian theological perspective. The idea is that the original Passover wasn't just a one-time thing, it was a powerful symbol, a foreshadowing of something even bigger.
And this verse right here is the key that unlocks that whole interpretation. For Christ, our Passover, is sacrificed for us. It's a really direct line being drawn from that lamb back in Egypt to Jesus. So the question becomes, how does that parallel actually work? What are the connections? So here's how this source breaks it down for us. You've got the Passover lamb from Exodus on one side, and the Lamb of God from the Gospels on the other. Look at the parallels. The lamb had to be without blemish, right? Well, Jesus is described as sinless. The lamb was slain, and its blood saved people from physical death.
Jesus was crucified, and his sacrifice is said to offer salvation from spiritual death, from sin. And the end result? The freedom from slavery in Egypt is seen as a picture of a deeper freedom from spiritual bondage.
So when you look at it through this lens, the Passover becomes more than just a historical event. Its ultimate meaning, according to the source, is found in this interpretation. It becomes this living, breathing symbol of a greater deliverance, a salvation that comes through the sacrifice of this Lamb of God.
And that kind of leaves us with a pretty big question to think about, doesn't it? Whether you see it as history, as theology, or maybe a bit of both, what's undeniable is the enduring power of these symbols. It makes you think, how did these ancient stories, these powerful images, still shape how we understand big ideas like freedom, sacrifice, and salvation even today? Something to chew on. Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.